Yo, what's going on? I appreciate everybody for tuning in to this video. It's not going to be no long intro because we got to get on to this because I got stuff to do. But anyway, I'm Marcus here. We talk attorney reactions to current events, trending news, and topics. As always, not legal advice. This is just my opinion and takes on topics as we go through what's going on in the news. Now, in this video, we are going to jump in and we are going to talk about a pastor who did something is a little shady. They pled guilty to it. So we can say that they did something a little shady because they actually pled guilty. But before we dive into that, I wanted to cover two other stories real quick. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to get those queued up for us right now so we don't got to lollygag around. And I probably should have had them already up, but I didn't. All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna jump into this first story, which is a news story. I saw this story yesterday, and the story is a story of when Twitter fingers turn into trigger fingers, but none of this shouldn't apply because these two old ass guys who are older than me who are on YouTube, and it led to somebody getting deleted during a YouTube live stream, which is actually insane. I'm going to go ahead, cue up the video, and we are going to dive in and talk about
it. Fox 5 News starts now.
The man accused of shooting and killing two people on the Las Vegas Strip will stay behind bars for now. Today, a judge ordered Manuel Ruiz held without bail.
Ruiz had his first appearance in court since turning himself in to Henderson police on Monday. We have also learned the names of the two victims, Rodney Finley and his wife, Tanisha. They were killed by the Bellagio fountain on Sunday.
And Fox 5's Victoria Saha has learned more about what he told police after he surrendered. Victoria.
All of these people involved in this are essentially content creators on YouTube who let a beef get out of hand, and now two people are gone, and this guy is going to be in jail forever because his self-defense argument sounds ridiculous.
Ruiz claims it was all done in self-defense. That's according to this arrest report. But police say the video circulating on social media shows a different story, and it played a big role in his arrest. But we're also learning both Ruiz and Rodney were two YouTubers who were live streaming at the same time when the shooting happened.
You were arrested for 2 counts of open murder and use of a deadly weapon.
Manuel Ruiz faced a judge Tuesday with not much to say. A big difference compared to what this viral live stream allegedly shows. This video taken by victim Rodney Finley and his wife Tanisha. Rodney is known as Finny the Legend on YouTube, and Ruiz is known as Sin City Manny. According to the arrest report, both Rodney and Ruiz were live streaming from Las Vegas Boulevard Sunday night. A viewer watching the live stream said he saw comments from others who were also watching Manny's YouTube live stream. The comments stated that Manny was across the street.
This is actually ridiculous. The two YouTubers. What's going on, Maddie? I appreciate you for tuning in. I'm going to give you a physical, real clap today and not just a sound effect. Thank you. But this is actually ridiculous that a guy and his wife died over some YouTube beef. And I don't know, like it's just YouTube. I didn't go on their channel. I'm assuming that they aren't. Maybe they have millions of followers, but the shit is ridiculous. I don't give a damn how many followers or subscribers got. It's kind of goofy that these old ass guys were out here letting their YouTube beef turn into something like this. Rest in peace to the deceased, but this is crazy.
At the Paris hotel and was looking for Finny. About 5 minutes later, the viewer sees Manny appear on Finny's live stream and saw Manny pull a gun from his waistband. He tells investigators he shot Rodney in self-defense. Moments later, you see Tanisha panicking and grabbing the camera her husband had set up, and then the gun is turned on Tanisha. Ruiz tells police he saw a shiny black object in her hand, which he believed to be a firearm.
That's cat. If she had bro, this dude is going to go away as he should. Shooting two people on a YouTube live stream is generally shooting two people without a valid self-defense justification is ridiculous. Generally, but this is ridiculous. Him saying that he saw her with a shiny object, just from the reports, it sounded like the shiny object that she had in her hand was the camera that she took hold of. I guarantee you, when the cops showed up, none of the decedents had a firearm on them, and again, it shouldn't have escalated to this, but you felt threatened. You shot the guy, then you felt threatened at his wife when she grabbed the camera. It makes no sense, and this dude should be thrown under the jail, as he will be.
He said he shot 2 times at her. Police say Ruiz ran away to the Paris hotel where he removed his hat and shirt. Later, it was Ruiz's wife who approached police, telling them she believed her husband just shot someone. Ruiz was arrested nearly 12 hours later when he walked into a Henderson police station after a friend convinced him to turn himself in. In the arrest report, Ruiz claims Finney posts content talking negatively about his wife and kids. Police say Ruiz was adamant he shot in self-defense. He insisted he did not know Finney and his girl were live streaming from that location.
That's cap. They're going to go back and look at his YouTube live stream and see the comments that they just reported on, where his viewers were telling him that, yo, the guy you got this dumbass internet beef with is in close proximity across the street. Like, this dude's whole story sounds like trash. Not to mention, you did something that's inconsistent with having a self-defense argument. Like, yo, running, changing your glasses, taking off your shirt. It's all given. I'm trying to evade. I'm trying to disguise myself. You had to turn yourself in. Most times, not all the time, but most times when people have these situations, we talked about them before. When people assert a valid self-defense, they normally act in a manner consistent with someone who did something that is consistent with a self-defense justification argument. They normally call the law, they call the cops, they stay in proximity, they're there to answer questions. The cops don't have to go looking for them. You don't got to turn yourself in because you're there on the scene. You call the authorities, you're on the phone, those type of things. This guy did actually none of this stuff.
He denied ever making any threats toward Finney. And we're also learning Rodney and Ruiz had an altercation on Fremont Street recently, but the report doesn't exactly say when that was. Ruiz is back in court Thursday.
All right, so he's going to be back in court. This whole situation isn't going to work out well for him at all. I'm not even going to go to this dude's YouTube channel or rest in peace to the husband and wife. All of this shit over YouTube beef, bruh, is crazy. I'm telling y'all right now, like, hey, I don't want no smoke, okay? It ain't nothing that's going on YouTube that's serious where you should be meeting somebody and trying to pop people and delete them during a YouTube live stream. So again, terrible. Justice is going to be served. He has literally, it's not even an analysis. He has no facts in his favor. It's a live stream. No firearms were found. His justification saying that the wife had a shiny object that he believed that he believed to be a weapon, when the report said that after her husband was shot, she actually grabbed the camera that he had set up to record. All are not in favor of the defendant. The defendant will be doing time. He's probably going to end up having to take a plea because there's no way he's going to take this to trial. But again, stupid games sometimes lead to stupid prizes. And, yo, the shit is just not worth it. Yo, this is the internet. It's people who get on my videos and leave greasy comments all the time. I don't care. like it's nothing that serious. I mean, the guy said he was talking bad about his wife, bruh. Like, talk is talk is talk. I think this guy was like 45 or 46. He older than me. He old enough to know better, and it's sad that 2 people had to lose their life over some dumb shit like this. All right, next up, we're going to take a turn, and we're going to look at something you shouldn't do, okay? I don't know if y'all remember NBA Hall of Famer Hakeem Olajuwon. Hey, Olajuwon was the beast. Not that many people ate while Jordan was in the league. Well, technically, Jordan was out of the league when Hakeem ate. But he got 2 rings during Jordan's time playing. I don't know. If Jordan would have played, he might have only got 1. But Hakeem Olajuwon, his son got caught up in some nonsense resulting from a road rage incident. So this incident actually is going to cost him about $530,000. And I think the big takeaway from this story is one of two things. One, road rage is like, again, when you do something to someone, you can't be shocked when they react in a way that you don't expect. So the best thing is, you in the car, you going somewhere. It's nothing that serious to get out of your car and attack somebody. That's point number one. Point number two, as a black man in America, it's probably a very bad idea to get out of your car for a road rage incident or any incident, but to get out of your vehicle and try to choke out some white woman. That's probably not going to end well for you. He got a little bit of, I'm not going to say home cooking, but it sounds like he had some similar type of history when it comes to road rage incidents. Let's talk about it. We're going to see what's going on with Mr.
A woman who says she was a victim of road rage tells us she was brought to tears after learning what happened to the suspect.
And days ago, she was emotional again after a trial in civil court. She told jurors she was choked following the incident on the Southwest Freeway.
ABC 13's Nick Notario spoke to the victim and why she hopes the more than $500,000 settlement will send a message.
Kiana Kalargi still can't get past the pain of what happened.
No one deserves to have that happen to them.
3 years ago, Kalani says it started with a close call in Sugar Land on the Southwest Freeway.
I didn't react the best. I got angry and I honked at him and I flipped him off.
Okay, again, just because you honk at somebody and flip them off, it doesn't denote that that person should get out the car and try to choke your ass. But, hey, you never know what people are dealing with. When people are in their car, they take that shit like sacred. Like, they feel like they're in their own personal bubble. And if you flip them off, cut them off, yell at them, roll the window down and do something, like these road rage incidents can turn violent and can turn deadly. She honked at a guy, flipped him off, something that most people would think, oh, this is just an everyday occurrence. They'll go about their business. But no, Mr. Olajuwon didn't go about his business. Well, he went about his business, the business of trying to choke out a white woman, which is an absolute fail. Not recommended, definitely.
After getting off the Sweetwater exit, Kalani says the driver, Abdullah Olajuwon, got out of his vehicle, went to her car, and choked her. This is an image used in a recent court.
Now, okay, real quick, we can see this image. What's going on, everybody in the chat? Yeah, I'm not uncomfortable. I wear a suit. You should loosen the tie up. I can't loosen the tie up. That's crazy. Loosen the tie up? Nah, we in here now. It is what it is. But nah, I wear a suit all the time. So like, it actually feel weird if I undo the tie and the top button. Like, what am I, Miami or some shit? Like, no, that's not how we roll. This ain't no. I'm not a Miami attorney, okay? What's going on, Foxy2 Roxy? I appreciate you for tuning in as well, and thank you for being an official co-counsel and a member. Definitely appreciate it. Now, I have a few questions, and I don't know if they addressed this. I doubt it because the video isn't that long. Now, we see her injuries on the screen. Okay, it's a little red around her neck. Duly noted. Now, I don't know how tall or how big Mr. Olajuwon is in relation to this woman who is the victim of this. But I will tell you, I think his father was 7 feet tall. So I'm assuming that his son is probably at least 6'4" or taller. I'm 6 feet. So his son got to be at least 6'4" or taller. The thing that I'm having an issue with, and maybe they'll explain it as we go on in this story, how did he actually get in a position to choke her? They get off of the exit. I don't know. At some point, like, is her window down? Does she roll her window down? Does she not roll her window up? Is her door unlocked? Does he snatch her out of the car? I have a few questions. I don't know if they're going to provide any granularity, but these are her injuries that Mr. Olajuwon caused her to sustain.
Vehicle went to her car and choked her. This is an image used in a recent court case by Kalani's attorney, Steve Shellist, showing what officers saw shortly after the incident.
I think that's a good point. I'm just going to be honest, okay? I'm just going to be honest. If I choke someone, I'm not saying this didn't happen. He was found liable in civil court, okay? But I'm just saying, if I choke someone and you're that complexion, fair skin, white, red bone, light skinned, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be much more, I don't know, everybody bruised different. But I like to think if a grown man put their hands around your neck to choke you, I've represented people who were charged with choking the hell out of somebody. I've never seen bruises this light. Now, again, the strength of the choke is really irrelevant. It's the unlawful contact in a harmful, offensive manner that's the issue. He could have choked her lightly. He could have tried to ragdoll her ass. It really doesn't make a difference. The contact is the contact. But I will tell you, these do seem like some relatively light injuries for how the story is being portrayed with the degree of choking, in my opinion. But again, he was found civilly liable. Generally, fellas, black men, you probably shouldn't hop out of your car to go put your hands around some white woman's neck. That's probably going to end you up in a lot of having to deal with a lot of headaches.
Attorney Steve Shellist showing what officers saw shortly after the incident.
And it was the scariest moment of my life. I thought I was going to die.
The victim came here to Sugar Land PD to report the incident, but if you were to go inside or look up criminal court records online, you won't see anything. The DA's office told ABC 13 it can't confirm or deny that this case happened. The victim's attorney says because Olajuwon was a first-time offender, he went through a pretrial program and the records were removed.
Unfortunately for this young man, I did a Public Information Act request before it was expunged, and I got access to all those criminal records, which we were able to use in part in the civil case.
A case that gave clarity about what happened, not just in Fort Bend County, but 3.5 hours north of Houston in Smith County. Court records show 4 months ago, Olajuwon was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The DA's office couldn't give us details because Olajuwon hasn't been indicted. Shella says he got the documents showing Olajuwon was involved in another road rage incident and pointed a BB gun.
Shout out to her attorney for actually getting the records before they were able to be removed, expunged, whatever process he went through. That's actually stupid. He said the attorney said he was able to use some of the records he obtained, some of them in the civil trial. A road rage incident where you pulling out a BB gun as a grown-ass man, as anybody driving, but as a grown-ass man, is actually a really stupid thing. It's a sign of stupidity, and is actually leaning me towards like, yeah, if you're stupid enough to do that, you probably, in fact, did this choking thing. I'm just telling you how people are going to piece it up. I know one instance isn't necessarily proof that a person did another instance, but it could be given a pattern. You got to look like a history of road rage and doing stupid shit. And pulling the BB gun out just in general, I've seen a lot of people who aren't here anymore because because of pulling out a BB gun, trying to effectuate a crime or a threat. Bad idea to do in general. My luggage puts that mark on me, and I'm Negroid. You crazy. That will be filed for bankruptcy. I don't know what Mr. Olajuwon does, but I don't know. $530,000, bro. Dad might have to take care of this one. Maybe he should start using ride shares and start driving. Yeah, because you don't get upset as a passenger. Maybe if you're in the front seat, but in the back seat, people generally don't give a damn about what's going on.
We wanted 12 jurors to say, you can't do this. Not in our county. You're going to be held responsible. And that's what 12 jurors did in Fort Bend County. They held him accountable.
2 weeks ago, jurors ordered Olajuwon to pay Kalani more than $500,000. You might recognize his name. He's the son of Rockets great Hakeem Olajuwon.
Sure.
We reached out to his attorney several times since Monday, but haven't heard back.
You can't give them a reaction. You just have to keep going with your life because you don't know who's in the other car. You don't know what they're capable of.
A case the victim can't forget, but hopes the jury's decision sends a message. Nick Notario, ABC 13.
Real quick, let me rewind that back real quick. I want to see a picture of her again. I don't know. She looked like she's small too. She looked like she's small with a real little neck. Um, I don't know. Is he's going to be liable because you're a black guy who's probably a big black guy who got out and choked out a white woman. The injuries, those photos were from the time of the incident. They necessarily didn't look consistent with some of her statements, but I do get it. I'm sure he outweighs her, is very much taller than her. Any jury is going to buy that and eat that up. And Mr. Olajuwon, this stupid move is going to cost you $530,000. But I will give credit to whoever his attorney is, because he sounded like he got a whole bunch of shit going on. But so far, he appeared not to have eaten any criminal convictions on this one because he was a first offender. He had something previously that he was never indicted on. So somebody is working some magic for him on the legal side of the game. So shout out to Mr. Olajuwon's attorneys on this one. He choked her, but he didn't choke her out. He probably put a choke is relative. I could put my hand around you and come on now. Like, a choke is relative, okay? I could try to choke you out, or I could choke you, or I could choke you, or I could. It's degrees to choking, okay? But at the end of the day, if she said she was scared, she feared her life. Y'all seen Mr. Olajuwon photo? They were in Sugar Land, Texas. Man, the jury is gonna eat her story up. But chokes, hey, at the end of the day, chokes are relative. So terrible move. You got to be smarter. Road rage is wild. One thing she didn't expect is that her middle finger and horn honk would have led to her having this brother's arms around her neck in some capacity. Whether it was light, hard, whatever it was, the jury says you were civilly liable for it, and it's going to cost you over $500,000, which is crazy. All right, now real quick, let's go ahead. We're going to dive into this video about this pastor who finessed the game. Now we're going to look at the information, because it wasn't an indictment, it was an information, to find out the facts behind it. It was some good old fact. Well, first of all, let me say this, okay? I actually give this pastor some credit for the fraud that he committed, because he did not steal from his congregation according to these allegations, technically. And so, like, if you steal government funds, you're stealing from everybody who pays taxes. But I've seen pastors in articles, I've seen pastors in person who sell their congregation and try to get them to participate in multi-level marketing scams and all sorts of buffoonery and tomfoolery. So he didn't directly take advantage of his congregation from what we can see, but he did try to take advantage of the taxpaying citizens. So we're going to dive in and talk about that. Hey, he the one who pled guilty. This is actually a perfect analysis because he pled guilty. This is not just indictment. He already pled guilty to this. But before we dive in, this story has a guest feature by one of our, I ain't gonna say favorite, but one of the well-known urban hood finance, self-proclaimed finance guru who essentially bungled $11 million. We don't know where that $11 million went. Did it go to his personal expenses? But one of the most notorious financial scammers out there, Mr. J. Morrison. So before we dive into the actual information and look at what this pastor did, sometimes they say the age-old adage is birds of a feather flock together. Not all the time true, but sometimes true. So we're going to check out this clip from a friend of the channel. If you want to subscribe, y'all go check out my guy, Pocket Watching with JT. He's a certified CPA, has his own business. He's not just talking about finances on YouTube. He's actually educated and knows what he's talking about. And I've been listening to his channel for years now, and I got to give him credit. I haven't heard him say one thing that was criminal with regard to finances. And for me, that's actually a big plus. But I want y'all to get this background because I want y'all to understand how the hood's worst financial advisor, self-proclaimed financial guru who had the Tulsa real estate fund and capitalized on taking advantage of people who look just like him from his own community. I want y'all to take a look and see how Jay Morrison is tied in with this pastor. I didn't feel the need to reinvent the wheel. So let's check out this clip from my guy Pocket Watching with JT. Y'all make sure y'all get over there and check out his channel. And then we're going to dive in deep on the pastor.
Following him for a while. Recently, I dropped this video that kind of goes over his backstory, where I was able to compile interviews from his ex-girlfriend, business manager, ex-business partner, to kind of give you context based on their point of view of how Jay Morrison became Jay Morrison, right?
Now, I've had some videos I've done on Jay Morrison and his shady financial dealings, but I'm going to go ahead and let this play through. It's probably about 8 minutes. I'm going to let this play through. I'm going to try to go uninterrupted on this, and then we're going to dive into the information. But I want y'all to see, be cautious. If somebody invites somebody who kind of sketchy to preach in your pulpit, it should probably raise a red flag, in my opinion.
Now, big shout out to all of you. You've really been supporting the video. But for those of you who have not seen it yet, here's a clip of it so you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
Peace, family. It's Jay Morrison, and I want to thank you for being a part of the Truth Campaign. So I want to give you guys straight background to my journey. There's been a lot of accusations and allegations, even defamation, regarding my name, my family name, and my rise to leadership.
People trusted him. When our people are thirsty, our people are hungry for knowledge. He was the viral guy in Atlanta, spitting finance knowledge to anybody who listened on the street corner. But now Jay Morrison is in hot water.
I invested $40,000.
$500. It's $2,000. He got 15,000 people to invest in a real estate fund. $11.7 million they all raised. A new Black Wall Street was on the horizon.
The money has been just evaporated.
And apparently there's little to show for it. And investors are going off on social media.
Everything done in darkness must come to light.
And so let's get into me exposed. Let's get into the truth.
All right, so that's just the opening clip of the video. Listen, if you haven't seen it yet, trust me, you got time. Go into the little spot where it shows on my videos. It's one of the newest videos that I got up. Go click it. You can watch the whole thing. You can get an insider's view of the backstory of the making of Jay Morrison. So I've been doing this for a while, but I want to be clear. I want to be crystal clear. I am not the first person to cover Mr. Jay Morrison. No. I'm far from the first person to talk about this individual and the issues that we find with his backstory and his resume of being a real estate mogul. So I got to give credit where credit is due. Okay, I got to give credit where the credit is due. Yvette Cornell did an amazing job. Now, once again, this is years before the fall of Jay Morrison. This is during the height of Jay Morrison. Years ago, Yvette Cornell did an amazing job breaking down his backstory, his lack of credentials to do what he claimed that he wanted to do, and the fact that it just wasn't going to make sense and the fund was going to fail. So shouts out to Yvette Cornell. Also, Antonio Moore of Tone Talks, big shout out to him. He too did an amazing job. Years ago, before the fund even launched, he did a great job breaking down how silly it was. It didn't make sense. Just the numbers wasn't making sense. And once again, the man's background didn't make sense. I believe he was one of the first people to talk about Jay Morrison's bankruptcy before anybody else. Once again, Jay Morrison filed for personal bankruptcy before he launched the fund. And for those of you who are unaware, when you file for bankruptcy, not business bankruptcy, personal bankruptcy, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you're basically admitting to the government, I have an inability to manage my own financial situation. I'm unable to pay bills as bills come due. I need to restart. I need a refresh. I'm pressing the reset button. I'm broke. I ain't got it. That's what Chapter 7 bankruptcy means. And Jay Morrison filed for personal Chapter 7 bankruptcy before he launched the fund. And I believe Antonio Moore from Tone Talks, he was the first person to bring that information out, at least the first person I saw. So shouts out to him. And also, some of you may not be aware of this particular YouTuber. I watched a lot of his content even before I had a YouTube channel. He did a great job breaking down. This is Max V. And he did a great job kind of going into it because I believe he knows a lot of people from the area in New Jersey that Jay Morrison claimed that he was from and claimed that he was this big drug dealer and all this. And Max V said his peoples told him they never heard of Jay Morrison. And that we're talking about people in the same age group. We're not talking about old, no. He's talking about people who are in the same age group as Jay Morrison and all of us. Well, most of us. I see my analytics. Most of us are around the same age. And he said that his people from the area that Jay Morrison said he was this drug lord kingpin, no one ever heard of him. So shouts out to Max B. Max B did a great job. But tonight, I really want to focus on two individuals, right? I want to give these two individuals their flowers because it ties in to the main story and what we're going to talk about tonight. Eli, from What Happened to Common Sense, and Tony the Closer. Okay.
And both of those, Eli's channel, great channel, check it out. Tony the Closer, good content as well. Real interesting person too.
Okay. Gotta highlight these two brothers and give them their flowers specifically about tonight. I want to get to the point real quick. Now, Eli has been covering Jay Morrison for a long time as well. Long before the Pocket Watcher, for a very long time. And I remember because I'm a loyal subscriber over there at Eli's channel. And Eli said these words to an effect. He said these words years ago. Now pay attention. Eli said that when the world finds out who Jay Morrison really is, when this house of cards of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund falls apart, Jay Morrison is going to go away for a little bit, but he's going to pop back up. And when he pops back up, he's going to pop back up as a preacher. This is what Eli said it now. When Eli said it, I instantly believed him. The reason why I instantly believed him is because if you are a subscriber of Eli, What Happened to Common Sense, his YouTube channel, Eli is extremely good at predicting things that are going to happen. I don't believe he has a crystal ball. I just think he studies these things. He says all the time, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, right? He does a great job at being able to predict things that are going to happen. So I instantly believed him when he said, when everybody finds out who Jay Morrison is, he's going to go away for a little bit, but he'll pop up and he'll pop back up as a preacher. The problem is, even though I believed him, I couldn't see it. I didn't have the vision. I couldn't imagine what would Jay Morrison look like as a preacher. I mean, he's got the suits and everything. I get it. He's a good speaker. I get that. But I just can't see him go from real estate mogul, talking his ish, Richie Rich, swaggy swag. I couldn't see him go from that to the preacher. I didn't have the vision. I couldn't see it. But then this happened about a year ago. So this is like 3 or 4 years after. 3 or 4 years after Eli says this pops up on my timeline.
Get to Morrow, North Carolina, Raleigh, Word of God and Fellowship. I will be preaching for the first time from the pulpit ever in my life. So I'm looking forward to what God's going to do evening in Raleigh. And then Monday, Faith and Finance, Raleigh, North Carolina. Monday night, Word of God and Fellowship as well. The Pastor Mitch. Holding that word party in the background, you know. Cause we got to do our thing. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, Raleigh. I'm just resting and studying and just letting God lead my steps. Y'all can stream it online on YouTube or pull up the Raleigh if you're in that area. Obedience is greater than sacrifice.
I said he got it. Eli nailed it. He put my mind around who would allow Jay Morrison to share that pulpit. Preacher would allow this man. Now understand, at this time, all the smoke and fire is already there. We're not talking about 2019 Jay Morrison. We're not talking about 2020, 2021 Jay Morrison. No. We're talking about a more current Jay Morrison. A Jay Morrison where people are already saying that he stole my money. Who would allow this man into their pulpit?
Okay, so now we got the background. If you aren't familiar with Jay Morrison, he started this Tulsa real estate fund. He really blew up by just essentially having a video where he was wearing a suit in a limo, yelling, "Wake up." And he was talking about how the real estate game is similar to the dope game. And I mean, it is because it involves the purchasing of some type of asset, but it's really not. And he just kind of rose to prominence. And at some point, he started this Tulsa real estate fund where it was based on Black Wall Street concept, where they're going to invest. It's going to be an investment thing for Black folks. And I tell you all the time, 90% of the time, most times, probably higher than 90% of the time, most times scammers tend to operate within their community, because you take the Tulsa real estate fund and go to the Hamptons, ain't nobody up there going to buy that shit because it's not going to make any sense. But he would take investments as low as $500. People invested $40,000. He raised over $11 million with this fund, and assets are gone. Nobody got paid out. One of the big proponents, a person who actually spoke up about the Tulsa Real Estate Fund and supporting it, was Boyce Watkins. I want to put up one video, not a video, one image of a video I did real quick, and I'll actually link it to this because I think this is a good video. Let's see, here, and I got it up on the screen. Let's click on it. But this, if you want background on back in my beard days, but if you want background on what's going on, this is probably a good video. I'll link it in the description. Dr. Boyce Watkins finally speaks on Jay Morrison's failed Tulsa real estate fund. This is actually a really good video. Boyce Watkins was a proponent who spoke up about how the Tulsa real estate fund was a great investment, and he was able to answer all of his questions. Jay was able to answer all his questions, and it ended up essentially just screwing over a bunch of Black people. So now that we know who Jay Morrison is, let me see. Hey, fair. All right, now we know that who Jay Morrison is. He was allowed to preach in the person who's the subject of this main story's pulpit, and it was called Faith and Finance. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying you can get a word from anybody. You can meet a crackhead on the street, and they can say something positive that'll actually be insightful and will give you some clarity about something. You can get a word from everyone. But I generally don't want to listen to someone who filed for bankruptcy, someone who stole millions of dollars from Black people, talk to other Black people about anything financial. And we see this happen all the time. I'm going to give y'all one quick story, then we're going to jump into this information about Pastor Mitchell Summerfield and his finesse of $400,000 in federal funds. But really quick, I want to give this story. It was, I was going to this church, really dope church. And I was like, oh, I just woke up one random Sunday. I was like, I'm not going to go to Bedside Baptist. I'm actually going to drive there. And so I drove there and I get to church and I was like, man, there's way more people here than usual. What is this? And it was, what is Jonathan Major's wife's name? I can't even remember her name, but it was Jonathan Major's wife and her at the time husband, who was a pastor. And they were there talking about marriage and all of these things. And again, I don't think that the church in and of itself was bad. I actually liked the pastor, great church, but I didn't want to hear shit that they had to say about marriage. So I was like, nope, guess I won't be tuning in for this. I got up and left immediately just because I generally don't want to take advice on anything from somebody who doesn't have experience and success in that field. That's just it. Y'all should not listen to me about how to do YouTube because I'm not a successful YouTuber. Listen to somebody who got like a gazillion followers. That's generally the principle that I go by. So now let's go ahead and jump into this information about Pastor Summerfield, who finessed the government and was a fan of Mr. J. Morrison. Let's go ahead, dive in. I think I'm going to make this a little bit bigger if you all want to read along. And we know that I'm blind, so let's go ahead and open this up. All right. So this is the Eastern District of North Carolina. Good old North Carolina, my old stomping ground where I used to be in the courtroom all the time. All right. Usual suspect, not anything complicated, very simple COVID-19 pandemic benefit scheme. The regulatory background, we're not going to dive into. Long story short, it's the economic injury disaster loan. We've seen this a lot. We talked about this with the council member in Charlotte. We've talked about this with council members in the District of Columbia. It's essentially people finessing government programs, asserting that they had businesses and employees, and they would get these loans from the government that could be waived forgiven if certain criteria were met. But let's get down. We kind of know what it is. Businesses could obtain grants, blah, blah, blah. We know what pandemic schemes are. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of it. Okay, the fraud scheme. Mitchell Summerfield is a resident of Apex, North Carolina, in the Eastern District of North Carolina. He's the sole owner of several entities, including KHS Investments, LLC, Vision and Destiny, LLC, and Winning Ways Incorporated. KHS, Vision and Destiny, and Winning Ways are all run by Summerfield out of his Apex residence. KHS Investments, LLC. KHS is a real estate investment company owned solely by Summerfield. However, KHS is a non-operational entity. It does not engage in any business activity and has historically generated no income. Instead, it was primarily used as a pass-through for Summerfield to transfer money between other personal and business accounts. Now, I don't know. This is just me. He pled guilty to this. So he already pled guilty to this. We're speaking from a place of fact. But when I see things like this, now I'm starting to immediately question, like, I would like to know, have an accounting of where the funds of the church were going to. I'm not saying that he was misappropriating church funds, but churches have a lot of cash flow generally. They have very little oversight. They're tax exempt entities, and a lot of finessing goes on in churches. All right, now April 4th, 2021, Summerfield's accountant electronically submitted a PPP application with Customers Bank for KHS Investments, LLC. The application contained false statements, including the amount of gross revenue. In support of the application, the accountant submitted fraudulent IRS Form 1040. KHS PPP loan was approved, and on April 29th of 2021, the bank deposited $20,833 into KHS SunTrust bank account. Prior to this deposit, the bank account had a balance of approximately $300. Summerfield used the PPP loan proceeds to purchase personal items, including designer clothing and family planning. On July 13th of 2020, Summerfield's accountant electronically submitted another application on behalf of KHS. This was for EIDL funds. It contained false statements, including the amount of gross revenue in support of the application. Also submitting a fraudulent 1040 form, the PPP application was approved, and on January 25th, 2021, he received $75,100 into the SunTrust bank account. Prior to this balance, the bank account had a balance of $135. Summerfield requested additional EIDL funds on July 8th, 2021. He electronically signed a new application, and SBA deposited $125,000 into his bank account. Prior to this, the bank account had a balance of $961. And so we can see a clear pattern of what's going on here with Pastor Summerfield. Summerfield used the fraud proceeds to pay for personal expenses, including shopping, airline flights, and other things. In August of 2021, a third round of EIDL funding came. However, the SBA flagged the loan as fraudulent and denied his request. Subsequently, another company, Vision and Destiny LLC, a public speaking business owned solely by the pastor, on March of 2021, his accountant submitted a false PPP application. The application was listed a Washington, D.C. address as the business. However, Summerfield never lived at this address, and as noted above, the business operated out of the pastor's Apex, North Carolina residence. He submitted a false 1040 form, which was entirely fabricated. The application was approved, and on or about March 18th, 2020, he got a little under $21,000 for this fraudulent business. Then we pivot to the next business, Winning Ways LLC. Summerfield contacted VM, who owned a financial company, about submitting an EIDL application for Winning Ways. Winning Ways was created to be a home for teen mothers, but the business was never operational. VM agreed to assist Pastor Summerfield with the application, but told Summerfield that he would need to provide supporting documents. On July 1st, 2020, VM submitted the EIDL application on behalf of Summerfield. The application contained false statements, including gross revenues, the cost of goods sold, the number of employees. An initial $10,000 cash advance was approved on July 6th. The SBA deposited the $10,000 into Winning Ways BB&T bank account. The full EIDL application was ultimately approved, and on July 21st, 2020, the SBA deposited $149,000 into Winning Ways bank account. Prior to this deposit, the bank account had a balance of $60. Summerfield contacted the SBA to request additional funding, but it was denied. Summerfield used the EIDL funds to repay an unrelated loan for consultant services unrelated to the business. Now we got all of these counts. Real quick, I think the easiest way to go through this is I'm going to pull up an article. Let's see, real quick. Hey, shout out. I appreciate you tuning in. Love helping out. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you subscribing as well. Now, we see a clear pattern here with the pastor. These things we don't even got to go all the way through. They aren't really that entertaining. They aren't really that entertaining, but it just kind of shows a consistent trend. I'm going to give this story real quick, then I'm going to pull up this quick news story about the pastor. I once was on the board of a church, trying to be helpful. And there were issues related to the accounting of the church. And the very first thing that I thought of, because I thought it would be right to do, I was like, let's hire an independent third party to conduct an audit of the church finances so we can see what the hell is going on, where the monies are, where things have been going so we can figure out what we need to do, how we should pivot so we can make sure this church is in good financial standing. You know what happened? Everybody was like, I don't know if we want to do that. And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, I think I see where the problem is right now. But it happens all the time because financial control at churches are often within the hands of a small few. So I'm not shocked to see these type of federal financial frauds come out of the house of the Lord. I've actually saw a story where people in the church were getting paid to actually help people in the church submit applications for PPP loans, knowing damn well that the applications that they were submitted were false and were fraudulent. So let me go ahead, pull this video up real quick. So we can see this just to get a quick take on what's going on. And then we are going to stab out of here because your boy got schoolwork to do. Let's remove this. Let's share this. Share screen. We're going to go here. Let's take a look at this story real quick.
It is the awareness that you have been deputized by heaven to unlock purpose.
In 2018, Pastor Mitch Summerfield stepped into the role of lead pastor at Word of God Fellowship in Raleigh, a church founded by his late parents.
4 years ago, my parents died. They transitioned to be with the Lord, and they were the great leaders of this church, of this great ministry.
His biography describes him as a next-generation leader, crediting him for closing real estate deals valued over $1 million. But according to the Department of Justice, he's now awaiting sentencing on federal charges of conspiracy to commit bank and wire fraud. In court documents, Summerfield is accused of opening several bogus companies and applying for federal loans designed to help small businesses during the pandemic. In total, he admitted to defrauding the government out of more than $400,000. One of the bogus companies, Winning Ways, which he claimed was a home for teen mothers, investigators say it never operated, but he still received a nearly $150,000 loan. According to documents, he used the money for everything from flights to shopping, designer clothes, and family planning. After pleading guilty, he's now facing a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison, a $1 million fine, and 5 years of supervised release. ABC 11 reached Summerfield's listed attorney by phone to try and get his side of the story, but she hung up on us. In Raleigh, Tom George, ABC 11, Eyewitness News.
So now that we know the facts around this story, is a few takeaways. One, every child isn't necessarily the best person to inherit their parents' business. I know damn well I don't want my father's business. Like shout out to my dad for having his own company, but what the hell I'm gonna do with a trucking company? I don't know nothing about that shit. It's gonna flounder if you if you put me in charge of it. Nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna rock with it. Every child isn't necessarily meant to take the reins of a parent's company. Most times parents, sometimes they do want their kids to go, but most times parents generally want their kids to go in a different direction. It's something we see quite common. But this is a situation where I'm going to give him credit. He wasn't stealing directly from his church members, but he was kind of in a way because anybody who paid taxes essentially ate that $400,000 that he took. Now, he's looking at 30 years. Do I think he's going to get 30 years? Probably not. I think what he'll probably do, normally if he pled guilty, I actually tried to look to see if I can see the terms of the plea agreement, but they were unavailable. I was unavailable. It was like, you did not have access to this. I was like, damn it. It was unavailable. But normally they're going to split the baby. I'm saying he would probably do something. He'll probably do a split sentence somewhere between 5, maybe less, honestly. Somewhere between, I would say, 3 to 7 years, maybe a little bit less if that, but they're probably going to give him some time. He has this amount of money he's going to pay, but essentially I think they're going to do a split sentence. They're going to give him a smaller amount of active time. It's not going to be a full 30. On the back end, he's going to be on some type of supervised probation until he can repay the $1 million in fees. I don't know if he'll ever be able to do that. Do you think, I think y'all know the answer to this, but in your opinion, people watching this, if you're attending a church and your pastor pleads guilty to a crime like this, are you still going to be a member of the church? Are you still paying your 10% in tithes and offering? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to get the hell out of here? Y'all let me know in the comments. It's interesting because, hell, we seen some pastors do some crazy shit, and people are loyal to their pastors. We seen Eddie Long had some wild situations going on, and hey, his church was like, you know what? I know it's looking crazy. I know these videos and pictures on this phone looking wild, but we're gonna rock with Eddie Long. Pastor Jamal Bryant had a whole lot of baby mama drama and things, but a lot of his congregation stayed. I don't know. For me, it depends because no one is perfect. I'm more willing, this is just me, I'm probably more willing to let a personal indiscretion go more so than a crime like this. Okay, like I'm gonna just be honest. If I'm at a church and like, oh man, the pastor was clapping Sister Dorothy's cheeks and the pastor's married over there. Okay, that's probably not the best thing. But one, we got to take a look at Sister Dorothy. But two, that's a personal thing. Everybody has flaws. It's something that happened. I'm not saying I'm going to listen to him for relationship advice, but something like that is, for me, probably easier to get over than a pastor who pleads guilty to stealing $500,000 from the government, or a pastor who defrauded his church members. Something like that is a little bit more understandable. Now, if it's something creepy on some R. Kelly shit, that's a whole nother ball game. But pastors, people have been clapping cheeks in the pulpit since the beginning of pulpits. I don't think that is necessarily something that would instantly run me away from a church. I actually think a crime like this is probably a little bit more disturbing for me, because if I can't entrust you to do the right things with the funds, how do I know that you're doing the right things with the funds with the best interest? It's actually quite possible you could actually be operating the church properly. You just have an innate need to clap cheeks outside of service hours. Something like that. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I agree. What grievance will do. Money don't answer all things, especially when gotten will. I agree with that. I don't know. Like, would a crime like this make you leave your church and say, you know what, I can't take this, I got to get up out of here? A money crime, I inherently can't trust you with the business of the church. You probably actually get up there and say an amazing word on Sunday that's actually probably fire. But if I can't entrust you with the business of the church, that's actually more problematic. If the pastor just, like I said, clapping cheeks on the side, or like to tip the bottle or something like that, like everybody has vices, things they need to work on. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment. Would y'all get up out of there if your pastor pled guilty to a charge like this? Or would you say, you know what, I'm going to stick it out, see how things go before I make a decision? Or is it an absolute, did not pass go, did not collect $200, I can't fuck with it? Y'all let me know in the comments. Yo, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. That's it for this video. I'm going to take this towel off and change my clothes because Royster is talking about me. Apparently, I must look constricted. So, hey, I appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to dive into another story on Friday. I think we're going to take a look at an attorney in Washington, D.C. who did a shady scheme, and hey, it's in D.C. It's in my hometown. So we got to talk about it. And as an attorney, it goes to show you that, hey, not all of us are upstanding citizens trying to do the right thing. Some of us like to take advantage of our knowledge and resources and self-indulge and profit, and it happens across the board. I would leave the church. You will leave if your pastor pled guilty to a financial crime. What if your pastor had infidelity thing? No crazy, no outside children, nothing underage. But what if your pastor had an infidelity moment? Would you leave if your pastor had an infidelity moment the same way you would leave for financial misappropriation or financial fraud? Because it depends. If First Lady's sticking around, I'm gonna be like, First Lady's sticking it out. Let me see how this play out. Now, if First Lady like, oh hell no, I'm gone, I'm gonna be like, whoa, she got standing up. I know that's kind of probably a little misogynistic of me to say, but hey, if a pastor does something like that or someone does something like that, what the spouse does have an influence on the public perception and how people are going to receive it. So I don't know. That's just me. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. As always, I appreciate everybody who tuned into this. I appreciate y'all in the comments for y'all support. Roxy2 Foxy, hey, shout out to you. Thank you for being an official channel member. Y'all be safe. Have a good night. Be blessed. Peace.